We continue to follow breaking news this morning in western North Carolina. Buncombe County officials are holding a press conference on the status of the county as of this morning. Let's listen in.
Through a point of distribution in the county from noon until 4 p.m. Please bring containers to fill with you. These locations are William Estes Elementary School, 275 Overlook Road. This location is also for non-potable water. Sandhill Elementary, 154 Sandhill Road in Asheville. North Windy Ridge Intermediate School, 20 Dawn Road in Weaverville. Fairview Elementary School, 1355 Charlotte Highway in Fairview. Black Mountain Ingalls, 550 NC9 in Black Mountain. Cane Creek Middle School, 570 Lower Brush Creek Road, and that's in Fletcher. Again, that is 570 Lower Brush Creek Road. Lester Elementary School, 31 Gilbert Road in Lester. In the city of Asheville.
Folks are having some audio issues on the back end of this. Would you mind restarting?
Sure.
Folks get that important information at the beginning.
Tell me when you're ready.
Ready.
Let me repeat the locations where you can access water today. Remember to bring your containers with you. William Estes Elementary School, 275 Overlook Road. This location also has non-potable water. Sandhill Elementary School, 154 Sandhill Road in Asheville. North Windy Ridge Intermediate School, 20 Dawn Road in Weaverville. Fairview Elementary School, 1355 Charlotte Highway in Fairview. Black Mountain Ingalls, 550 NC9 in Black Mountain. Cane Creek Middle School, 570 Lower Brush Creek Road in Fletcher, and Lester Elementary School at 31 Gilbert Road in Lester. In the city of Asheville, locations are open until 7 p.m. and they are located at Asheville Middle School, 211 South French Broad Avenue, Linwood Crump Shiloh Community Center, 121 Shiloh Road in Asheville, Pat Square Park, 70 Court Plaza. That begins at 1 p.m. and it goes until dark. And lastly, Lucy Herron Elementary School at 98 Sulphur Springs Road. The site will be open from 9 until 7. Buncombe County has established a storm damage report survey for damages sustained during Hurricane Helene. If you or a family member sustained property damage from the storm, please submit this information as soon as possible. Call 828-250-6100. Again, that number is 828-250-6100. Remember, this is different from the FEMA application process. This is for us in the county to get a handle on what's in our county and the damages that we need to be aware of. Our fire marshal has also asked us to share this information. If you are without power, please turn off your breakers until it is restored. If you're going to burn storm debris, ensure that it is 15 feet or more away from structures and only burn 3-foot piles. Finally, please do not travel into a small community unless you live there. It is delaying emergency response and rescue and relief efforts. Next, we'll hear from our New York Fire Department Chief Dupree.
Hello, good morning, everyone. First, I want to say that New York City Fire Department Incident Management Team is honored and privileged to be here to help the people of North Carolina and Buncombe County. We have a lot of friends and family in the area, so again, this is a very important mission for us. We arrived in Buncombe County yesterday with an all hazards type 1 incident management team of 34 people. We will be shadowing the staff in the EOC today and blending in and assuming some roles by Saturday. We are here to help and support, and we are here to get the process going to help the people of Buncombe County. Thank you.
And next we have Bill Norton with Duke Energy on the call.
Hi, Stacey. I want to be sure you can hear me properly.
We can hear you, Bill.
Great. So first, I want to thank all of our customers for their patience. This has been An incredibly long week for our customers, for our partners in Buncombe County and throughout the state, and our crew of 21,000 line workers, vegetation crews, and more across the Carolinas work in this storm. The teamwork shown by everyone has really been amazing. The good news is our crews have repaired more than 1.2 million power outages here in North Carolina. That success elsewhere in the state allows us to bring even more crews into Western North Carolina to address the hardest hit areas here. About 170,000 customers in the North Carolina mountain region remain without power, unfortunately, including 78,000 here in Buncombe County alone as of 10 o'clock today. Last night, we texted out new estimated times of restoration to our customers. We're on track to restore an additional 27,000 customers by tonight, another 69,000 in the hardest hit areas by Sunday evening. In the areas where catastrophic damage exists, where you have homes that physically cannot receive power, grid infrastructure washed away, roads gone, lack of access for our crews, 105,000 customers are without power in those types of areas. So we're working very closely with the state on plans to address these as quickly as we possibly can. We continue to work with a variety of partners to get critical assets like our vehicles, workers, poles, transformers, wire, and more to the areas where we are restoring power for our customers. And we know partnerships and collaboration with local, state, and federal agencies are absolutely critical in this regard. And they'll continue to be as we collaborate with these communities to help them rebuild. We continue to communicate with our customers via email, text, and outbound call as their site-specific details become available. Customers can also visit DukeEnergyUpdates.com for the latest updates on their outage. And I think I'd close just by saying our thoughts with the communities that are still without power and other essential services. We're committed to continuing safe restoration until everyone's power is restored. Again, thank you for your patience. We will not stop until your power is back on.
That update, Bill. Before we open the briefing up to questions from the media, a quick reminder for the community. Again, that call center number is 828-250-6100. And you can call that number 24/7. And so please share that number with your friends and neighbors. If you have storm damage reports, need resources, and more. That is the number that you can call here at Buncombe. At this point, we will open the briefing up to questions from the media.
Hi, this is Jeff Cameron with the Charlotte Observer. I have a question about any updates regarding mobile distribution, particularly to public housing. We've heard from people in Pisgah View, Deaver View, and Hillcrest about issues with transportation and not being able to get to water. Do you know if there's anything in the works to help get water to those areas and other public housing units?
As we reported on the last briefing, we have been planning on that, and that is rolling out today throughout our community. Previously, our community paramedics have been taking water throughout our public housing areas, specifically the ones you listed. So yes, our community paramedics have been distributing water to them. And yeah, we are working with some they're reaching out and taking water as well. That is one of our nonprofits that is starting working today, getting into other areas of our community. But please remember, community paramedics have been on the ground since this began, taking water over housing authority areas.
It's Laura Lee at Blue Ridge Public Radio. I have a couple of questions for Bill Norton, if we could. So I just want to make sure I understand the numbers because it sounded like at one point the communication to the public was majority
Cutting out on us, Laura.
of households and businesses restoring power today. I'm trying to do some, what? I can't hear you breaking up. What?
You're breaking up, Laura. We can't hear you. Can you type your question into the chat?
Sure.
This is John Boyle with Asheville Watchdog. Hey, Bill, you've got a couple of my questions already. Maybe we can save a little time. Could you talk a little bit about, I know everyone can see power lines are down. Is there a bigger problem with larger equipment, transmission lines and substations? Can you talk about that in Buncombe County and then in a larger sense, please?
Yeah, that is it exactly. I mean, if you talk about a typical hurricane, I mean, and there's nothing typical about a hurricane, but a normal hurricane, we would have fully restored the transmission infrastructure by now and we'd be in neighborhoods doing the hand-to-hand fighting, if you will, with individual streets, homes, whatnot. This has been a storm like we've never experienced in our history. And if you think about people talking about the 1916 flood and this surpassing that, you can understand why. So I was at one of our substations yesterday and again this morning. It's the one that serves Biltmore Village. And if you go out and look at it, the water line is almost to the top of that substation. You can see the water line there. It's amazing. That substation alone is going to take 3 to 4 months to repair. Obviously, we are not going to keep those customers out for 3 to 4 months. So what we did is we wheeled in a 200,000 pound mobile substation from Gardner, North Carolina. And I talked earlier about partnerships, and again, that was key. We had to work with DOT to make sure that the bridges that we needed to pass to get to that site could withstand that weight after the storm damage. So it was a slow, meticulous process to get it here, but it is now there. We are we're digging new spots for wiring, so it'll be underground and safe. Hooking that substation up in the coming days. It is expected to be powered by Sunday. So that will effectively allow us to bypass that substation for the next 3 to 4 months as we level it and build it again on higher ground or with a flood wall around it. Those customers will have power even as we're rebuilding that substation. So that's the type of challenge that we're dealing with and the type of solution that we're bringing to the table.
Bill, do you know how many substations are damaged and how many transmission lines?
Let me double check. I think I have a statistic on that. Looking back, okay, yeah. So I don't have highly localized information. I can say 95% of our substations across North Carolina have been restored, but that's statewide. Obviously, we have more impact here, just in the Buncombe County area and the mountain region.
Hey, it's Laura. Can I try again? Can you all hear me now? Great. So I just want to make sure I have the numbers right. We have 170,000 in the mountain without power and 78,000 in Buncombe County.
Correct.
So we're restoring 27,000 tonight to Buncombe.
27,000 in the mountain region.
In the region, not in Buncombe. Okay. And 69,000 more across the region by Sunday. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So
Leaving
that
us with
brings
about
us
105,000 that are 105,000 that are going to be more long term, and we don't have a specific date for that 105,000 yet. That will be communicated to customers as we get better information from areas, we haven't even been able to put eyes on yet. We brought in helicopter, drones. We've seen most areas, but really to be able to get physically to them and see the intricacies of a given site, that's going to take some more time.
Sure, that makes sense. Just trying to, help people with expectations of those 105,000 that are longer term than Sunday. Do you have estimates on even ballpark percentages on that? How much of that is Buncombe and how much of that are some of these places you talked about that are so difficult to access?
I don't have a breakdown further beyond that. I'd say some of those customers will come on next week, but some of them will be longer. I mean, we're talking about places where the homes no longer exist, frankly. Obviously, we're not going to power that back up. If you think about all the roadways we've seen washed away, think about where power lines are normally located. There are easements along those roadways. Those easements are gone. We no longer have an easement to erect a new pole in place of the old pole. That's the type of scale of damage that we are dealing with and working through.
Question?
Yes, this is Will Atwater, North Carolina Health News. I had a question about non-potable water. Yesterday, I know that we were trying to get non-potable water out to 10 distribution sites across the county, if I'm not mistaken. So my question is, in terms of people who are on septic systems, is there a special consideration or procedure that needs to happen, or can they just use non-potable water to flush toilets just like people who are on regular municipal systems?
Thanks for the question. Well, those individuals can use non-potable water to flush their toilets.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, but so in other words, being on the septic situation is not, it doesn't present any additional problems.
Right.
Okay.
Next question. Are there any questions?
Yes, my name is Ryan Hafner. I'm a citizen journalist and a member of the East-West Asheville Neighborhood Association. There was a murder outside the Pisgah View Apartments yesterday, and as of the end of the day, the killer had not been apprehended. Do you have any updates on that?
That's a law enforcement matter, and I would refer you to APD or Sheriff's Office for that information. Sheriff's Office. To help you find more information about the status of that situation.
So you have no information on this briefing on whether the killer is still in the neighborhood or local area?
This is a community briefing that we are using to provide residents and people who've been impacted by Hurricane Helene. We are using this opportunity to provide important updates specific to this storm. Next question.
Yeah, Charles Perez at WLOS. Every day I have the privilege of folks coming up to me and they ask me about water. You know, they acknowledge you guys are doing a great job and putting a lot of time and effort in and making a difference, a big difference. But they also want to know when their kid can go back to school. And they want to know that their elderly parent has access to a hospital that has water. And the fear is, or the concern is, that this is a looming public health situation, if not crisis. Now, 3 days ago, the mayor texted me after this morning briefing and offered the opportunity to speak with the chief water official for the city. That hasn't happened yet. And people out there, at least those who speak to me, they just want to know. And a lot of them think they deserve to know what's happening now in terms of fixing the water situation, what is planned or likely to happen next week, the week after, and potentially the week after that, simply so that they can plan. What do I tell them?
Absolutely, Charles, and we agree. That's why we're here to provide updates to our community on the current situation with the water. And that's why we have the city of Asheville joining us for these briefings routinely. And they will be with us at 4 p.m. today. And I will let you ask them that question directly.
Okay, the one thing I would ask is, because that is the end of the week, that they
Charles,
answer questions.
to address your question about Mission Hospital, HCA will be here with us at the 4 p.m. briefing as well.
Okay, I will look forward to that. Thank you.
Charles.
Hola, Jessica Mayora de Enlace Latino NC. Haré la pregunta en español. Esta pregunta es para FEMA. Si una persona o propietario de dos viviendas fue afectado por sus dos viviendas por el huracán, ¿esta ayuda será para las dos propiedades o solo para una?
This question is for FEMA. If a person is an owner of two homes that are affected by the hurricane, will aid be available for both properties or just one?
Not that information. Okay, I'm being told just the primary residence will qualify for aid from FEMA.
Gary Roberts, AP, can you hear me?
Así sea dueño de las dos, qué pena. Así sea propietario del.
Gary Robertson with the system.
Okay, so we are going to have our bilingual information communication specialist reach out to you directly to answer your question. Thank you. Next question.
This is Gary Robertson with Associated Press. Can you hear me?
Here, Gary.
Yes, thank you. And I'm sorry, apologize for stepping in there. I just wanted to double check the number of dead from this storm remains at 72. Maybe I missed that. Did you have any information on that?
We do not have an updated number of fatalities at this time.
Okay, so we'll stick with what you had late yesterday. Thank you.
We have another question in the chat about more questions about when public showers will be available and where.
We do not have any specific details or even a timeline for public showers, but I can assure you that based on what I know, we are working diligently here in the Emergency Operations Center to deploy those assets as soon as possible. And we will keep you updated when we're able to announce that information.
Can I have a follow-up with that? Yesterday, you reported that there was one tanker providing non-potable water at, I think it was the William Estes Elementary School. Do you know, as of this morning, if there are more tankers out? I think the goal was to provide a total of 10 across the county.
We will provide an update on the number of tankers at the 4 p.m. meeting or briefing.
Okay.
Okay, Patricia, Enlace Latino NC. I have a following question about the showers. I know that the Reuters YMCA has public showers now. That is an effort with the county. Can you give some details about that? Details?
So your question is about showers being available at local YMCA's. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. What's that? Reuters and Biltmore Park. Reuters and Biltmore Park. The Reuters YMCA and Biltmore Park does have hot shower opportunity available to the community, to anyone that needs it. From 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So hot showers are available at the Reuter Y and Biltmore Square Park and that is available from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
I have an additional question from the chat from Helen Chickering, BPR. We've encouraged people with wells to have their water tested, but we need more information about resources on how to get that done and where we can take those testing kits.
Yes, thanks. Important question, Helen. We are working with our environmental health department right now to stand up teams of folks who can triage these kinds of requests. We're also going to be working through the EOC to request support from EPA and others who are experts in the space. And we will start providing information on well safety as soon as possible. As soon as I get back to the office, we'll go ahead and provide that information at buncombeready.org. And we will continue to provide updates on those resources that we have available for well testing as soon as we are made aware of that information.
Stacy, this is John Boyle again with Asheville Watchdog. A follow-up probably for Ms. Pender. Two things related to burning. Had people ask like what can be burned safely and what materials should not be burned debris-wise. And then people are still asking for another update about when trash will be picked up. Could y'all address that?
So county manager did mention in her talking points, if you are going to burn storm debris, make sure that it is 15 or more feet away from any structures and only burn 3-foot piles. But we can also ask the fire marshal to come to one of these briefings, or I think Lillian has information that can be helpful to you in this moment, John.
Yeah, thanks for those two good questions. With regard to burning debris, anything natural, if it is not a naturally occurring material, please do not burn that. If it's rubber, if it's fabric, that textile, please do not burn that. If it's branches, if it's wood, those can be burned. They can be burned 15 feet away from any structure, and please only burn them in 3-foot piles. Do not use large piles to burn all at once. With regard to your second question, WastePro is making rounds in the Weaverville area today for those Friday customers. Those Friday customers who we can get to with those big WastePro trucks. We have asked for smaller trucks to come in. They're trying to get to every road that they can access. That is in the Weaverville area today. We also have a truck set up at the North Buncombe Pool, and that is a location where those Friday WastePro customers can take household trash only to that WastePro truck for it to be taken to the landfill. Landfill is open today, and landfill will be open 8 to 1 tomorrow. We will have Dane Peterson with our solid waste operations on our Sunday evening briefing to give us a look at the WastePro operations for next week.
And thank you, Lillian. Not to get in the weeds too much on the burning, on the, some people have pieces of their houses or like old sheds, things that are kind of like processed wood, or sometimes pressure treated wood that might have chemicals. Would pressure treated wood or processed woods be a no-no for burning?
Yeah, if it has any chemical treatment to it, please do not burn it. If you're in the weeds, you can burn weeds because that's naturally occurring, but don't burn anything that has any sort of chemical in it.
Thank you.
Can we remind the public of the hours for the North Buncombe Pool site for trash collection? Or, I'm sorry, trash drop-off?
Those hours, and we will follow up in this briefing with those drop-off hours. Next question.
Hi, this is Andy Rose with CNN. The sheriff mentioned yesterday over 200 people still unaccounted for. I know there have been a couple of urban search and rescue teams in the area, and obviously the volunteers for the Register of Deeds. Is there a point at which the task forces start to deploy out, or you start to lose some of those resources and the search and rescue process begins to wind down?
I'll start, and maybe Chief DePrima can help me answer that question, Andy. From my understanding, they have deployments maybe of 14 days, and then they would rotate and then crew would come. So until we're done and we're working on the research, I believe, with the USAR team, FDNY would also start working through the county as well to make sure that we have eyes on everyone. So as far as I understand, there would be no winding down until we finish that search and rescue. Chief DePrima, added to that.
Yeah, that is accurate. Typically, resources can be assigned to us for up to 14 days. We will in place and rotate resources that's fit. Right now, we're developing a plan to reach out to the local communities It was basically a door knocking mission to reach out and see what people need and how we can help them. And that should be taking effect the next day or two.
It's Laura at BPR. I have a couple questions about drinking water. People are asking, are there any use of the pools at local hotels? Is that a possibility? And then the second question that we're getting is about laundry. Are there any plans for laundry facilities or mechanisms for people to get their laundry done?
Okay, so since we arrived here, we're starting to plan to build, we call it community reception centers. People call them disaster reception centers. There are pods out there. We're looking to put together CRCs, community reception centers out there where people can come and take showers and want to receive some of these products in addition to the point of distribution. That should be in the plan to take effect.
We also have a question in the chat asking about using the French Broad River as a source of that non-potable water. Is there a reason we haven't tapped into that resource, and could you speak to that?
The Swananoa River, all of these rivers in our area should be treated as basically a hazmat site. Please do not touch the water or get near the water if you do not have to. There are other resources. We will make other resources available to you, and if that is your circumstance, please call the One Buncombe Call Center. Again, that number is 828-250-6100. We cannot stress enough that all of this water flowing through our community right now should be treated as if it is a hazardous material. Next question.
You've been listening to Buncombe County officials give an update on the status of the county in the aftermath of Helene. A couple of key updates this morning. If you do still need water, the county shared several places where you can bring your containers and get water. Just to list those out: Fairview Elementary School, Black Mountain Ingalls, Cane Creek Elementary School, Lester Elementary School, William Estes Elementary School, and then Pack Square Park, along with Lucy S. Herring Elementary School. Also, if you need a hot shower at this point, they did recommend the Reuters YMCA. That's located at Biltmore Park, and those showers are open from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. Duke Energy also giving an update on the status of power restoration in Buncombe County and Western North Carolina as a whole. The representative said 170,000 Duke Energy customers remain without power in Western North Carolina. Their expectation is to restore 27,000 of those by tonight, Friday night, and then 69,000 of those by Sunday evening. The other 105,000 may take longer. It would be a long-term restoration. They said they would communicate updates for those 105,000 customers as that progresses into later this week into early next week. They discussed the challenges, frankly, of getting the power to some of those areas, the easements along the road, bringing in mobile generators and mobile transmission units. In the case of Biltmore Village, those repairs can take anywhere from, they said, 3 to 4 months to complete. So they have those mobile generators there and mobile transmission units in the meantime to get people power. The county also saying they would like people to call in to report damage. This is separate from FEMA. This is Buncombe County specifically. They said if you do have damage, to give them a call. That number is 828-250-6100. We do expect Governor Cooper to speak in the next few minutes from Western North Carolina about the status of the damage and what the state's doing to work through that as well. We'll have that coming up in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, if you'd like to help people affected by Helene, you can scan the QR code right there on your screen. That will take you to the American Red Cross. And of course, we have all this information about the outages, about how you can donate, about the updates and more on WYFF4.com and on our mobile app as well.